wheel is arguably the greatest invention since sliced bread. It allows you to travel great distance with mechanical advantage. But that's not how you do the tyre toss. Instead, teams must flip the tyre sideways in a repeated fashion until it crosses the finish line. It's smart to bend from your knees and lift with a strong push, letting gravity do the rest. For the organisers, try to use a tractor tyre and make it easy on the teams by leaving the vehicle off the tyre. It's almost like we're trying to reinvent the wheel. As Newton's law of motion informs us, an object in motion is going to stay in motion, and so it's advised to use momentum to your advantage. Teamwork is key to flipping a bale of fleece. At over 400 kilograms of weight, it requires all members of the team to work together in order to get this going. Keep it flippin' and you'll be at the finish line in no time. There's a flood coming for your town. You're going to have to reinforce riverbanks, roads and buildings. Enter the humble sandbag. Well, don't just stand there, the water's coming. In this activity, you'll have to race to put these sandbags over there. For organisers, you can probably fill these bags to about 2/3. Money doesn't grow on trees. Apples don't grow in the ground. But somehow, this has become a thing people do sometimes. You'll have a container filled with water, and each member of the team will have a shot at sticking their head in and biting the apple to take it out of the water. For those of you in the front row, you'll likely get wet. To organisers, it'd be greatly preferred if you have a whole box of apples for this activity. It may prove a competitive advantage to grab onto earlier bite marks. Ahoy, young farmers! For the pirate tradition of yore, the walk the plank be the event that trips up even the bestest of teams. Peg legs not need apply, but the rules for this here challenge are thus. You'll need 2 planks of the same length, with 4 loops of rope tied through holes. This is where your feet go. Competitors will approach the planks, placing their feet in each loop. Teams will then have to work together to walk their planks to touch the finish line. This seems like a straightforward challenge, but it requires a strong leader who can keep the team into time. It's a great idea to lead from the front and let everyone march in step. Keep your eyes and feet on the fella in front of you to try and meet their timing. Make your line and lead your team to victory. Kangaroos are magnificent animals, capable of enormous leaps and impressive efficiencies. They're able to recoup their energy from one bounce to the next. They're on our coat of arms. Skippy is a bloody global superstar, and they're all-round good blokes. But don't kid yourself and think your competition for a potato sack race is going to have you looking anything like the majestic marsupials. Just be happy if you don't stack your face in the dirt. Potato sack races involve 1 to a sack, and for all 4 teammates need to make their way across the finish line. Given the different heights of competitors, it's good to have a few different size sacks. If anyone manages to put their foot through a sack, you'll need a new one. This, after all, is a potato sack race, not the Flintstones. By the time you reach the beef cut section of a competition, you've got a doctorate in running back and forth. Now, time for the brain stuff. You'll be provided with a diagram of a cow, and you'll have to clearly identify the various prime cuts of bovine. But don't think it'll always be beef. It could be lamb, could be goat, might be horse, probably won't. And no, you can't just call everything mince. Australia was built on the sheep's back. We took that back and turned it into wool. From that wool we made all sorts of clothing, jackets, coats, socks and pants. It accumulated in the Aussie classic tea towel. But that didn't work too well, and I've got quite a lot of these products still for sale on my website, AussieWoolTeatowels.com. Great products at bargain prices. Where was I? Yep, wool classing. This challenge requires you to identify the various categories of a bundle of wool. It's ideal if you can get some fresh samples from your wool competition at your show, but make sure you return it, they don't want to get fleeced. Did you know the Roman aqueducts had only 1 to 2 degree incline across the whole length of the system? It brought water from the lakes of Italy to the fountains of the city. It endured for more than a century until a pasta merchant realised that you could stretch out a rigatini into lengths to transport water the same way. Let's just not talk about the lead. The Delilah buckets help you harken back to pre-Roman times when people would have to haul their water in a leaky bucket. Teams need to fill one bucket with 2 litres of water from a large bucket 10 metres away. But the catch is, there's a hole in the bucket, Delilah. Oh, Henry's not going to help you now, so you'd better run as fast as you can and fill the target buckets as quickly as possible. If you run out of water before you finish, time's added to your run. For organisers, small plant containers are best bet. There's so many holes they shouldn't get plugged. And there's no point you learning the lessons of history, just keep a hose nearby for refills. Ain't technology grand? Farmers are an inventive bunch, so we're keeping with the aquatic theme. Now that you've demonstrated the impracticalities of a bucket with holes, let's see how good you are with one that works. Carry your bucket around the marker, in this case a witch's cone, and back to the start. Bonus points if you can swing it Billy style as you run. Not really, but gee, it'd be fun to watch. Water is a precious resource, so don't spill any as you run, or else time penalties will be applied. If there's a common theme in Young Farmer Challenge, it's that you've got to do a lot of activities whereby you take that thing there and put it somewhere else. In the case of hay bales, you've got to open the trailer, fill it with bales of hay and then lock it back. Pay attention to the string wrapping the bales, as they have a habit of coming undone and spreading the hay all about the place. It's very embarrassing for all involved. You've heard of the saying, you can't put the manure back in the horse. Well, the same goes for rebundling a hay bale in a timed race. Plus, you'll have to find all the bits and put it back together, and well, that's kind of like finding a needle in a... I think you get the point. For organisers, it's useful to have a few bales in reserve on the odd chance someone wants to involuntarily feed the horses with the competition materials. Perhaps a metaphor for marriage. This is all about finding a catch. Competitors must stand behind the line and try their darndest to catch a figurative bull by the literal horns. It's a good idea to practice your boot scooting baby at the local line dance, so you can get a bit of good momentum up and try and hit your target. For the inexperienced cowboys amongst you, watch out for how wide you swing your rope. You're aiming for your target, not your teammates. For organisers, do you know how to prepare a lasso? Because frankly, I have no idea. If you can complete these tasks and more, you're on your way to being crowned the Young Farmer Champions.